Wow, it is my pleasure to welcome you to a very special session of AAAIP's Theory and Practice in Animal Assisted Interventions Conference. I'm Annie Peters, the President and CEO of AAAIP, and what we have in store for you in these next few minutes is going to be not only delightful, but also informative. It is my absolute pleasure to welcome Dr. Marty Becker. Many of you are going to recognize Dr. Becker. He's been known as America's veterinarian for almost 2 decades on Good Morning America. But I want Dr. Becker to take a few minutes and introduce himself to you. Go ahead,
So,
Dr. Becker.
well, Annie, thank you for the introduction. You'll probably hear some barking. You realize I might be America's veterinarian, but not America's trainer. So we got two 18-pound doorbells you might probably hear in a minute, but that brings the authenticity to it. So I'm a veteran veterinarian of over 40 years, been married 45 years this year. And I kind of caught myself looking at myself in the screen because my wife's 50th reunion is this Friday. And I was wondering how she's going to explain that my eyes look like coin slots in a vending machine. And I got the polar comb over from back to front. But no, I've had a blessed life, Annie. I feel like God has played favorites with me, literally. I'm married to the love of my life. I live on a beautiful horse ranch in northern Idaho. If you think of Yellowstone, it looks just like it. A big log, 2-story log home with log horse barns and outbuildings with a big meadow and mountains, and then got to do something where you get to change the world. It started out just being a practicing veterinarian, and then moved to celebrating, protecting, and nurturing the bond that led to books and TV appearances and so on, and then culminated starting 13 years ago with Fear Free. And it is changing the way animals are treated globally. It's not me, it's a we effort, but you just every once in a while something comes together, providence or serendipity, whatever you want to call it, that allows you to change the world.
That's incredible. Well, with everything you've done, if anyone deserves life's blessings, both those that come from the nature around you and the bond and relationships we have with these incredible animals in our lives, it's you, because you've done so much for all of us. And we've learned so much from you over the years, and we're going to learn some more today. I wasn't planning on sharing this, but because you shared a little bit more, so much about your personal relationship, I think I can get through this. But last night we said goodbye to my daughter's dog of 15 years, her companion through college in her 20s, my grand dog, and the veterinarian who came to our home and provided that medical care was incredible, just incredible. And I know you've played a role in the evolution of veterinary medicine. So I just want to personally thank you for all of that.
Annie, this is ironic, I guess would be the word. I was just outside thinking today that as I was working with horses, I have a harder time saying goodbye to pets than my human family members.
Mm-hmm.
And I know there'll be some people on here that understand that. And I've actually struggled with that some, about thinking, am I thinking right? Do I got stinking thinking, right? But really, when you get down to it with humans, there's duplicity, hidden agendas, posturing for personal gain, performances. When my mom and dad died, there was money issues that came up the day of the memorial service or funeral. And then with pets, I look at that: unconditional love, limitless affection, to die for loyalty, make us laugh every single day. And I guarantee you, your daughter will look back at times through those difficult times of college and stuff, that was the rock. Relationships came and go. There was disappointments, but never with the dog. And um, it's hard. Somebody, this might be a good time to add this too. When a lot of people say, "Oh, I can't get another one because I can't go through the pain." I feel like your heart breaks, and as it breaks, when it heals, it just gets bigger. Like, I've had 16 dogs in my life, and there's a dog in the house here that's my heart dog, and I think everybody knows that thing. That one dog in your life that's like unbelievable. And my granddaughter the other day said, "Well, he's only got X amount of years to live," and I was just like, God, like panicked. It's one thing for me to be 69 and know how long I have to live. I couldn't stand to think of something happened to my dog Cutie Pie. So the work that you do in this, you bring that affection connection that people feel with animals in general or their pet, and bring that back to life. And you and I have both been in situations where somebody was literally not connected to the world at all, and through AAI, something breathed life back into them. I've seen it with miniature ponies. I've seen it with kangaroos. Of course, we know about dogs, but there's other things. I still remember people had a farm background. It was a lamb that brought this lady back to life. The tactile feel of that. So I'm so supportive of the work you guys do. It's it's one thing to be high tech medicine. My sister's a physician. High touch, state of the art meets state of the heart. And when those two come together, that's where the pixie dust falls out of the ceiling.
Wow, that's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that, and come back to that. You talk about this some more because our audience, they understand, right, all of this intuitively. They're practitioners integrating AI into their practice. They themselves have rich, rewarding, and sometimes heartbreaking relationships with their pets. But I do want to make sure that we take some time today to talk about, of all the wonderful things you've done, what is going to be your legacy to all of us in this community, and that's fear-free. So would you take some time and just talk with us about what is fear-free, the fear-free movement?
I've watched these dogs play in the background. This is authentic, Annie. Well, this is if you could let me have a little lead rope here to tell this story. I wanted to be a dairy practitioner from the age of 6, 14 years. Dairy. Got to veterinary school and changed to companion animal. We'll talk about this later. But my North Star from when I graduated until 2009. So what is that? 29 years was the human animal bond. That inexhaustible, irrefutable source of energy powered by this affection connection. I think the bond is nebulous but easily understood by anybody that's ever felt that for a pet. And I was at a conference in Canada, Vancouver Island in Victoria, and I gave the keynote one day, and a boarded veterinary behaviorist, Dr. Karen Overall from Penn, was in the audience. And she was up front to my left and was smiling and nodding and eyebrow flash, giving all the signs that she was really enjoying my talk. And so as a speaker, you know how you'll find people that are friendly in the audience and kind of support you and go back to them, get a little juiced up. And well, the next day she gave the keynote, and I thought, well, I better go to her talk and support her. But I always sit in the back. So I was in the back right as she came in the door, and I caught her attention, and I said, Karen, I can't wait to hear your talk. I've been looking forward to it. In reality, I couldn't wait to leave because my wife was in town, and I was going to go meet her for maybe an early dinner. So as soon as she was going to engage in a pod of people, I was going to sneak out. And I'd right in the back, and I'd sneak out. She'd never know it. Well, she changed my life. Her first sentence was, fear is the worst thing a social species could experience, and it causes permanent damage to the brain. That those of us that deal with animals, veterinarians, trainers, AAI, groomers, pet sitters, are causing repeat severe psychological damage to pets by what we are doing or not doing. She went on to say, fear is caused by something painful or something disturbing. You trim nails too short. That's painful. Now, when the pet sees the nail trimmers or goes to the place in our house, the nail trimmers are in the laundry room in a drawer. You go in there, that's disturbing because they know that's where they have suffered harm. A syringe, a blood draw, a vaccination, an injection, all painful. Now, when the pet sees the syringe, that's disturbing. So there's these triggers that cause fear, anxiety, and stress. behavior produces a physiologic response, so behavior is medicine. And then she got to the end and she goes, this was, I shouldn't say the end, but it was the part that culminated it. She goes, who in this room was born in the 50s and 60s that were taken to the doctor or dentist and were manhandled, manipulated, threatened, and abused? And I looked down at my thumb. Well, I've got like 2/3 of a thumb on this end of it because I got a splinter in it. 3 people held me down to lance an abscess. I remember crying one time, getting an injection, probably of antibiotics in my butt. And I started screaming, and my mom rose up out of her chair and raised her hand above her head. Shut up, Marty. Don't embarrass the doctor. That's the comfort I got in 1960, right at the doctor's office. My sister used to get her ponytail pulled at the dentist office, keep her mouth open, like a human Pez dispenser. So then I'm really leaning in, and she goes, every animal is like a 1-year-old child. They are taken against their will for healthcare, she called it. They can't anticipate or expect the relief of fear, anxiety, and stress, even if it's moments away. They have no idea why the procedure benefits them, and they can't flee the threat. And so if you look at COVID vaccinations, we went by free will. We knew why it benefited us. We knew how long it took. And if we didn't want to go, we didn't go. If we wanted to leave halfway through, we could leave before we got injected. A pet, taken against their will, don't know why it benefits it, can't anticipate or expect the relief of fear, anxiety, and stress or pain, and they can't flee the threat. So that was 2009, and starting in 2010, we spent 5 years in proof of concept. How do you actually do it? Because listen, I was stretching cats out into 2 zip codes, Annie, before Fear Free. I mean, their head was in Oakland and their ass was in San Francisco, because that's what I was taught, was to stretch cats out. I have no special gift like Temple Grandin does, but I thought, I can help popularize this like I did the human animal bond. I can bring energy in a network. So the bedrock of Fear Free are boarded veterinary behaviorists. There's, of the 100 boarded veterinary behaviorists, 60 are on the Fear Free advisory group. We got 20 PhD behaviorists, ethologists, the head of animal cognition at Duke, Brian Hare, the head of animal cognition at Columbia, Alexander Horowitz. We have subject matter experts in every field. So in neurology and ophthalmology and dermatology and GI. And then we have one very gifted person, and that is Temple Grandin. And Temple has now taken her unique gifts that she has and turning them into a companion animal practice and looking at that interaction. And it's really kind of Fear Free 2.0. But one last thing. When Fear Free just took off, it just took off because all of us get in there to love animals and love us back. Nobody gets involved with animals to make life worse for them. And it just took off on the veterinary side. And then we just said, well, what about homes? So we created Fear Free Happy Homes. And then, well, what about shelter and rescue pets? So Fear Free Shelters and Rescues has 90,000 individuals have gone through a 5-hour online course in the shelter world. 90,000. It's changed the shelter world. And then there's courses for groomers and trainers and pet sitters and dog walkers. So really everybody involved with the ecosystem. And Annie, I know you've been after us to create a specific course for AAI, which we're a pretty small company, but it's in there somewhere along the line.
Well, we're absolutely delighted to hear that. And, all of us here, in addition to the work that we do in AAI, we are all pet owners. We do take our animals to the veterinarian. Our position on animals, even in this workspace, they're sentient beings. They're not tools. So we're always looking for signs and indication that the animal's enjoying the interaction, right? So we don't really, I think about the concept of fear-free showing up, because if in AAI, because if the animal's showing any fear, they shouldn't be invited to participate in this kind of work. I think about a story our mutual friend Dr. Aubrey Fine told me once, is that he was talking in Spain, and he, after the talk, a professional came up to him and said, Dr. Fine, every time I go to take my dog to work, he throws up. What should I do? And Aubrey said, stop taking the dog to work, right? But in terms of these animals in our lives and just our interaction with them and going into the veterinary clinic or where can we go? Where can our audience go to learn more about Fear Free and the work you're doing, and seeing if there's meaningful ways for them to plug in while we wait for that course?
Well, here's what's interesting. When Fear Free started, and we put together both animations and videos showing the signs of fear, anxiety, and stress, very few veterinarians could recognize anything but the most overt signs of fear, anxiety, and stress. This sounds unbelievable. So this is 13 years ago, but a more than 50% of the veterinarians could not recognize the fact that lip licking was a sign of fear, anxiety, and stress. Yawning is not from boredom, that's from stress. Salivating, shivering, and shaking, they're not cold. They're not cold. It's fear, anxiety, and stress. And then you've got the more subtle signs: the furrowed brow, the pinned ears, the tucked tail, the rigidness, the what we call whale-eyed, the leaning away from something, from what they perceive the threat. Always trying to sit by, look at the door that they escape from. So if they're in an exam room, they know exactly what door they come in, and they know exactly they're going out that door. So they're always wanting to go towards that door. And in cats, we used to say cats were effed, going to the vet, fight, flight, freeze, or fidget. And there's all these really subtle signs. Like, for example, at North Idaho Animal Hospital, where I still work in Sandpoint, Idaho, 85% of the cats that aren't sick or injured take a treat. 85%. And so we're looking, if a cat is not sick or injured, by the way, if they're coming in and they slow down or stop taking treats, that's our first sign that something is wrong. It's so early on. So I'd go to Fear Free Happy Homes. Well, one, if you're a veterinary professional or you're in the, a groomer, trainer, boarding, anything like that, you should take the course for your specific area. If you're in shelter rescue, take the shelter course. It's complimentary to all of you in that. But go to Fear Free Happy Homes, and you'll learn. We all need to know the same signs. Like, I tell you, I went over to help the pets in Ukraine, and I was not going to go over and there was going to be some orthopedic case that I was going to swoop in and fix this dog, or some senior dog that nobody could figure out what was wrong with it. What I knew was animal handling. So I went to 2 of the veterinary schools in Romania, and I went to a veterinary school in Moldova, but I went to the head of the Romanian Veterinary Medical Association and went to the front lines and taught them about animal handling. And what they were doing, they were seeing massive amounts of dog bites. And this is both the people that were being ferried across the Danube, both the first people that interacted with them, the people that brought them sandwiches and drinks in the line, the people that went through customs, but then there was veterinary tents and the Red Cross and everybody there. But what they were doing, even the people in the veterinary tents, they'd see a pet come in and they'd put their hand out. Oh my gosh, what's your pet's name? Can I pet it? And so they're leaning over, which is threatening, prolonged direct eye contact, and putting something in their face. So I showed them how those 3 things wrong. One, you want to turn sideways. You want to make yourself smaller by taking a knee if you can. You can glance at a pet, but don't have prolonged direct eye contact and call it over to you. And the injuries plummeted, day one. So some of these things now, when I go to Petco, my wife has an aquarium. When I go to Petco and we go to get fish, I can literally, as the person's walking down the aisle with a net, I can see the fish move to the back of the tank. They're showing signs of fear, anxiety, and stress. When people deal with horses or any animal, once you start to see it, you almost have a superpower. And Annie, as many years as you've been in, you probably developed that when you know the first signs when it could escalate, right? And when you stop, because so many people want to, they want to see one more patient, or they'll get over it and they'll push it a little bit too far.
Yeah, all true. And that's such relevant comments. Thank you for all of that. Because where we know our animal, we know if the animal habitually shows up confident, safe, cared for, knows the environment, that practice of guiding the interaction and making sure the approaching human advocating for your animal, communicating how your animal should be approached, right? That's paramount, and what you just spoke about. And then at AAAIP, we do have a course on canine body language, because so many of us, and myself included, early on, I knew my dog, I could read the signals, and then I found out, oh, wait, that's actually a stress or a calming signal? I didn't know that. So I'd encourage everyone to check that out as well, in addition to the fear-free resources. Well, I can't believe our time is up. This is some kind of a strange time warp. It's not making sense to me, but our heartfelt appreciation and gratitude for you being here with us at our inaugural conference, and for all that you've done. And I can only hope that our paths cross again very soon. Thank you, Dr. Becker.
Yeah, Annie, I want to put in one plug, and not for the book sales, but for people. There's a book I wrote called The Healing Power of Pets, and I wrote it with a New York Times reporter, and harnessing the amazing ability of pets to make and keep people happy and healthy. That book came out exactly the week of 9/11, which is not good for the book, but it's an award-winning book. We did 9 reporting trips to 26 states. It is still if you felt like a pet, like before the healing power of pets, I'd experienced the healing power of pets. A lot of us had intuited the healing power of pets. We just knew it to be true, but now science has painted in the numbers that pets just aren't, make you feel good. They're actually good for you. And there's a lot of research that's come online since, and especially a lot more about cats. But think about it. There hasn't been another domesticated species in 5,000 years, and only dogs and cats have broken down our hearts and homes in mass. And there's some reason, this affection connection that we have, that is not parasitic. It's not like we're a tick sucking the life juice out of them. It's mutually beneficial. And it's nice to see scientists document that.
Thank you. The healing power of pets. Thank you, Dr. Becker.
Thank you, Annie. Thanks for all of you out there, all the great work you do. I applaud you.